We have a guest speaker, and I'll let Kay introduce her in a minute. What's the first thing there, Madam Secretary? Old business? I've asked Fred to lead us in our opening prayer, so if Fred will do that.
Let's bow our heads. Our Heavenly Father, let us thank Thee for this day. Let us thank Thee for this family that's gathered here tonight. Let us thank Thee for the honeybees. Help us be better stewards and let us gain knowledge so we'll be able to care for them better. And as we depart, go with us, guard, guide us, and direct us. And in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
All right. You could be next. Minutes?
John signed up at the January meeting and welcomed 33 members and 4 visitors. He asked Keith Ray to lead us in prayer. We discussed preparation for the beginners class, which the class will be on February the 18th. It will start at 8 o'clock, finish around 3. Meeting will be at the LDS building and lunch will be provided. The $30, and I hope when you ladies call that you explain that the class doesn't really cost anything, that the $30 is $10 club dues, $10 TBA dues, and $10 for the book, which I'm having trouble finding tonight. Meeting was turned over to John Farrell from the UT Extension Office in Franklin. Our current bank balance is $1,870.95.
All right. Is everybody, any additions, deletions, approve those minutes as read? I hear a motion.
So moved. Second.
Second. All right. All approved, say aye.
Aye.
There you go. You can tell I'm a real politician. New business. Anybody got any new business?
We need to talk about the beginners
Yes,
first.
we need to talk about the beginners.
Well, before you get to that,
Okay.
I know we're having a church social out there, and all the ladies are tired of cooking. And I asked Miss Mary Bill if she'd talk to her neighbors, the Hilltop high rollers, whatever, about barbecue. We can get barbecue for 10 pounds. It costs us $75. But that takes some of the strain off all you ladies trying to cook and bring all this stuff for a beekeeping meeting. Do we want to approve to do that? Is everybody going to bring meatloaves and all that other stuff? Do I hear a motion that we should get it or forget it? We get a lot of talk here.
Let me say this first.
All right.
Annie Gooch is coordinating the meal for that day.
All right. We don't need the barbecue then.
Well,
So,
I want everybody to come and tell me what they will do, so we'll know what we're,
so we need, no, if we need to.
if we need to go that route.
Well, we can get that as an option if you don't have enough. And I know she said it's available. I know it just gets hard to bring all the stuff that you gotta bring and do a lot of cooking like you do.
Well, I make a motion that we should go with that if it's needed, so we can approve it. So if we need the barbecue, after Annie finds out exactly what we need, if she feels we need it, then I feel to make a motion to approve for it in case we need it.
Sounds good to me. Anybody second that? Second. All right. So we got Plan B. All right. Question next.
Okay,
Got a question on the floor?
You still need some dessert and drinks, or, well, okay.
Regardless of which way we go, we'll need that. Desserts and drinks and side dishes.
Well, we take little breaks and everybody milling around. You know, when teachers up there teaching, you get hungry, don't you?
yeah,
You want a snack, something to divert your mind. All right.
okay.
Yes, the answer is that, yes, even if we get barbecue, bringing desserts, which we all like that, all of us diabetics.
Okay, Mary is in charge of collecting the money that day. But she will probably need help because I have 53 of these booklets fixed out for the class members. So she'll probably up at the door to pass out the
Don
folders
said he would help me.
and the books. Good.
It's been
I
my
thought,
job for 2 years.
I tried
to
to
try
do
to-
last year, so he would
I
be
just-
ready for this year.
Now, I'll tell you what she did to me though this week.
What?
Called me and said, did you get this beekeepers meeting in the paper and in the radio? And I said, was that my job too? She said, yeah. So anyway, I had to drop and go to
It's,
do that.
it's there.
I got it.
I need a copy of it, if it's in the newspaper, I need a copy of it, because I have to send that in. We can get $200 from TBA if I verify class members and how we advertised, and,
Should be on the radio, WAKI, and also supposed to be in the Sunday paper.
okay, if it's in Sunday paper, just make sure that I get a copy of it so I can send it to TBA. I have,
How many people are signed up to go?
that was my next thought. I have 43 people already signed up. Everybody in yellow has said, we will be there. So I have 43 people already signed up. Last year, this happens every year, they'll say, we're coming, yes, we're coming. They don't show up, but then a dozen more people show up that aren't even on my list. So that's where Mary runs into a little problem, because she's having to take their name down and take their money and give them a folder and give them a book. So, like I said, we've got 43 on the list right now, so who knows? We may have 55. We do, I don't have enough folders. I have to back up and regroup. I need,
I had a guy on the other side of Nashville called and said he's coming. And, you know, I had a question about if they're not gonna, they just won't take the course and not participate in the meeting, that they have to pay the local dues. And I said, I'll discuss that with the gurus, but,
and
we'll have people, you know, from Knoxville and different places that came down. But
I've got 3 guys coming from Jamestown. And I've got another lady that called me the other day. I was driving down the interstate and she called and she said, I'm coming to your meeting, and she lives in Livingston? No, Livingston. And then I have another lady and her husband that are coming from Dunlap. So, yeah, I've got the number for the gentleman that has the club in Livingston. So I thought I would give that to you. It's not that I don't want the people to come back here, but that's a 2-hour drive
They're not
from
gonna drive
Jamestown.
that.
There wouldn't be anything wrong in having by a state association,
Right.
that way that's at least commitment to Tennessee. You know,
So I just want, you know, if they want to come to the meeting, and I told this one gentleman that called, he said he had 2 friends that he was with. And I told him, I said, that's fine. And I tried to get him into the class that Livingston was having, but apparently they didn't make contact with the president of the club, so, he's still coming here. He called me again this week and said, I'm still gonna come. So, I hate to see him pay our club dues if he's gonna go to the club in
yeah,
Livingston.
I wouldn't think you need to pay our dues. State that, yeah.
So, Mary, you may need to ask
Cookville is having their short course the 4th of March.
Cookville is.
So that would be the closest free, and it's free, they don't charge you anything. But they do not give out the book that we get. That book is,
I've been having a little trouble finding the book. Now, I called Skinner, I started calling Skinner back in December, trying to get the book.
You ever answer you?
And he wouldn't answer. And I emailed him, he didn't answer that. I emailed him 3 times, he never replied.
You dropped me.
So what I did is I called Petra, from TBA, and I said, Petra, how do you get a hold of Skinner? And she said, good luck. So she gave me another number, and I talked to a gentleman there, and he transferred me, and Skinner answered the phone. So I said, I need books. He said, we don't have any. They're being reprinted because they want to put oxalic acid in. That was one of the things.
That
he
broke
said.
his heart to do it.
So they're having them reprinted. They will not be ready until March 4th, I think he said. So I've been scrambling, trying to find books, and I got Wilson County to let me buy 22. And Jim Garrison from Williamson County said, he had 15. I just got to figure out how to get them from him, which means I may have to drive to Franklin to get them, but I will. And then Andy said that Sparta has about 15.
Those are standard issue for the extension agents, anybody that stocks those.
Extension agents don't have it.
That's
We've done checks.
what we've been going through, is trying to find them through our extension agents. And
So if
I thought the
Andy can
college
get,
said,
if Andy can get the 15 from Sparta and I can get the ones from Jim Garrison, that's 30 plus the 22 I have, we should have enough books. And if it's a husband and wife, I only charge them for one book. We don't need 2 books in a household. So that helps some if I have husband and wife. I don't think, oh, do you have any computer techs? Are you gonna be there that Saturday?
Which Saturday is it?
The 18th of February.
That's 2 Saturdays from now?
Next Saturday.
This
This
Saturday.
Saturday from now.
The next Saturday.
Not this Saturday, next.
I hadn't planned on it, but I probably can. I'll have to get back with you.
If you could just come early that morning and help me get all my stuff set up, I would appreciate it.
Okay, and where is this? I know it's here somewhere, but
It's the LDS building out on 55 and Shangri-La Lane.
562 Shangri-La Lane.
Depending on what you need, Eugene might be able to help you out.
Kind of across the road from McMillan
What
Lawn Yard.
are you putting together?
I just gotta get my, this causes me a big problem. My thumb and my finger don't meet anymore. I have to learn to button my shirt with one hand, and I cannot button this sleeve at all. Unless I take this off and the doctors threaten me if I take this off. So it's a little hard to get my, my computer hooked up and my DVD and everything, so I just need a little help.
Yeah, if he can't make it, we plan on you.
Okay, so I do have somebody to help me with that.
That's
You need somebody to set up and make sure we got ready for the frames,
Okay.
And then, it'll be on the left-hand side.
I don't have any French fries. Anybody got something they can put together?
We will have our trailer here. With all the hardware together for real.
Pretty close back this way.
I need your
know where the high school is?
frame.
It's back this way.
And Wayne, do you have any frames and pods that we need to put together?
I think I got through one big one was
Okay,
and,
okay.
all framed, everything did.
Because the 3 grant hives the 2 grant hives and the one we paid for will not be here until the next week. So whoever wins
I
them,
lived across the street.
Now you
put
come
them
to
together. And
Big deal, I'm about 45 minutes just from here.
Well, we got TDA members, we got some guys that went as our delegates last year. Joe went, I went to the TDA meeting. It's the weekend after our new beekeepers session. And that's in Lebanon this time, Wilson County at the fairgrounds. So we get those 3 or somebody else that wants to go to represent us.
Did we not have people that, decided they'd go last year?
Yeah,
Well, Darwin was one of them.
it's our delegates
Yeah,
that are supposed to go.
so is,
If they can't go, then we need 3 people to go.
yeah, well, we need to, I'll find that out
With
from
Danny and
me and Danny and Joe.
It wasn't me, it was somebody else, I was an alternate, but I'd be trying to give that spot to somebody else.
Yeah.
It was somebody else.
I think that meeting is noon.
I think 1 o'clock.
I think
It's on
it
the,
starts
it's on the
at
high, it's on the high too, every time there, so.
As far as I know, if somebody can't go, I might can, I don't reckon I'm doing anything. Just as long as we get somebody down there and pick up pies for sure.
I'll go and pick up.
Oh, okay, well, you got
But
that took care
I
of.
just need somebody to make sure that they, because they're in my name, I'm sure.
I should think that would be right hand.
Talk to Jim Garrison, what,
You think that was your right
I know Jim Garrison will put that in the car.
All right. I'll let you-
Go back,
All
Joe.
right. This is,
Go back, Joe.
oh,
What page
I
that?
forgot to tell you. I got an email from Bobby Patterson, well, when I sent the email out, she replied, and she said that Joe had back surgery on Tuesday. So that's why he is not here tonight, so it might be a good idea if y'all just call Joe and see how he's doing. Or if you live close enough to one, maybe drive by and see if he needs anything done with his knees. Because I'm sure with back surgery, he's not doing anything. That's Joe Patterson. Now, this is Mr. and Mrs. Welchance. She's going to tell us how she prepares wax, the cappings, and any other wax that she has, and how she prepares that to do all of this beautiful candles and things. All right, Susan, it's all yours.
Well, I'm glad to be with you folks tonight. I'm Susan, this is Donny. We have been keeping bees for, this will be our ninth year. Okay, if you want to do the honors, as those out. This is a little handout I've prepared. And basically, it tells you everything you need to know about how to filter your wax and get it to where you can craft with it, make candles, lip balm, skin cream, and like everything in beekeeping, it's not rocket science, but it is very labor intensive. Now, the best wax is from our wax cappings that we get at extraction. And when we first started beekeeping, I didn't know if we could get bees to live through the winter. I thought, man, this sounds complicated and hard, but we're going to try. So, lo and behold, they did live through the winter. And then the next year, our second year, we even got enough honey that we had a little for us and a little bit to sell to our friends and neighbors. And when we extracted, we have a cappings tub that we got from Russian Mountain. And it's this two-tiered tub where the bottom tub has a drainage spout. And then there, the next tub has a rack in it. We put a stainless steel grid in it. And then we put this filter down in the tub. And then we cut the face of the frames off and wax with a cold knife. And we've always used a cold knife. We've heard, I don't have any experience with hot knives, but we've heard that a hot knife, you're always having to mess with it, trying to keep it at just the right temperature and keep it clean, and that the heat will make your wax dark, and then the wax kind of drips through, gets in your honey, and so we've just always used a cold knife, and that's always worked for us. So we would cut our wax off, and it falls down into this netting, this sieve. And then we let it drain for at least 24 hours, or, a couple of days while we're doing our extracting. And when we extract, we only take off the number of supers that we can extract in that day. We don't have a big bunch of supers stacked up in the garage or basement because we are fearful of the small hive beetle and the wax moth setting up housekeeping. And I'll just be darned if those things are going to get that honey and wax after the bees and us have worked that hard on it. So we'll take off like, you know, now we're wimps, I admit it, we'll take off 4 to 6 suitors, and that's what we do in a day. You know, by that, the end of that day, you know, we're pretty tired. So, after, we get our wax cappings in the tub, then if you pass this around, this is what they look like, right here. And the first year I thought, now I know I'm not supposed to throw this away, but I don't quite know what to do with it. So I didn't have that much, so I put it in some Ziplocs and stuck it in the freezer. And of course, you know, once you start doing this, you run out of freezer space pretty fast. So now, I just put it in a clean 5-gallon bucket, and for anybody that's new to beekeeping, start scouring the countryside for food-grade 5-gallon buckets, because you're gonna need them. So I put my wax cappings in that 5-gallon bucket, cover it up tightly, and then just stick it in the basin until I'm ready to do something. Now, we do our extraction in July. So it's usually August and September by the time I start getting around to processing my cappings. Right when it's good and hot. And really, that's what you want, is a good, hot, sunny day. You need at least 80 degrees. And if it's 90 or 95, that's even better to make this stuff melt. And I'm here to tell you that you do not need a $135 solar wax melter in Russian Mountain. You can do this with stuff you've probably got laying around the barn or the house or whatever your junk pile is. And if you will Google the word simple solar wax melter, you will know all you ever want to know about this. So, basically, I went to the internet, did that. All I needed was a cooler, an old cooler. Well, who doesn't have an old cooler cooler laying around the house, or an igloo cooler, or even some styrofoam? So this is what we do. So I got this, got Donnie to take the top off for me. It may have even already been off. You know, this is not even great. I sprayed the inside of it black to help it absorb heat better. And then the next step, you need a little tub to set down into. And you're going to put 2 or 3 inches of water in the bottom, because as the wax melts through your filter, it's going to drop down and it's going to float on top of that water. If you don't put the water in, you're just going to have a big sticky mess in the bottom of the tub. So, you want to put water in it. I got this little tub at Walmart, but if you are unfortunate enough to make a hospital trip, remember these little things? Lord knows how much we pay for these. You know, if they ever line itemed it, we'd be shocked. So, collect these little things, because these will work well. Now, after I've got my little tub with water in the bottom, I like to use a little framing to help support all my wax, because I'm going to pile a lot of wax in here. So, I put this down on top of my little tub. Now, you've got to have your filter. The best filter is an old sweatshirt. And turn it rough side up. Now my problem is, I don't have any old sweatshirts left in the house now. You know, boy, as soon as they get the least bit of wear, they're into my filter. But I do have this little piece for show and tell. So now, you've got this, and I want to make sure that it stays, that it doesn't fold over. So I use these little clamps, these itty bitty clamps. I never knew there was such a thing until I started this. And these are little clamps that you get for like 38 cents these are far better than a clothespin, a wooden clothespin, a plastic clothespin. They're not gonna work because they're not strong enough. So I clip my filter up with these little things. And then I pile my wax cappings in. You wanna get as many as you can. And then finish it off. Who doesn't have an old storm window laying around the house? You know, so, there you are. Get it down like that. This isn't quite set right, I'd have it set flush, where if I was really doing it. But you want it flush so that the bees aren't flying in, because you're gonna have a lot of bee help during this process. And let me say a word about preparing my cappings before I put it in here. Now, this step is entirely optional. You don't have to do this at all. You can just take your wax cappings straight from the bucket, dump them in there. I've done that. But if you want it to come out cleaner, and it just depends on where in the process you want to spend this time. I like to I've got an old fiberglass sink. Now, this is what pack rats Donny and I are. We have this kind of stuff, around. Or if we see it, we collect it, think we'll have a need for this. So, I'll put one of these old things in my fiberglass sink, dump my wax cappings into that. I've got my sink up on a couple of bricks out in the yard. Oh, and all this is taking place outside. We're not doing this inside. It is all outside in the driveway and in the grass. Because if you get any of this stuff near your drain pipes, you're just going to have a real mess, so you don't want that. But after I get my cappings in my sink sitting in this, I get my garden hose and my nozzle and I spray it down. And I mean, the bees really love this part. They're coming to help. But I spray it down, put it back in a bucket, run over here, and put it on this, put it in here, put my window on top, and I'll go back every 45 minutes or so to see how much is melted down. And as it melts down, I pile more cappings on there. So, and then at the end of the day, I just stop. I let the whole thing cool off overnight. And then the next morning, that's what it looks like. That's after my first filter. And then this is what is in my filter. I call that slum gum.
What was that again?
Slum gum. Yeah.
You use this to start your campfires, you've been cool hot, at night, fish,
Yeah.
or even go camping with the grandkids, or our kids. You don't have to take a lot of kerosene with you and get, the kids get burned on it and everything else. This comes in handy.
Yeah, that'll start a fire real quick. Or, if you want to get every last drop of wax out for crafting purposes, I'll take those and roll them up real tight and put them in like an old laundry bag with a little hole, dish laundry bag, or into some pantyhose and tie a knot in it. And then I'll throw that in a pot of water outside. We use a turkey fry, an old turkey fry, and bring it to a boil it for about an hour, then turn the fire off. Let it set overnight, and then you'll have the most beautiful disc of beeswax the next morning. And that's from that slum gum that's made its way out through the filter. there and saw it, and he said, "Oh my gosh, this is the family for me." He just couldn't believe it. So, that's our first filtering. And now I've got a list of everything you need here on my handout. You gotta have an old cooler, you need black spray paint, you need a storm window, a small plastic tub, 2 to 3 inches of water in the bottom of it, filter material for wax. Do not use cheesecloth, because cheesecloth has too much lint in it. You don't want material that's got a lot of lint. Now, I will use an old cotton bed sheet. I had some old cotton curtains that I was using this summer for my filtering. And, you know, when you run out of everything, some good blue shop towels will work. These will work. And they are easily found. You need clips, you know, good strong clips, you know. Whether or not you do the basket thing, that's up to you, and a good warm sunny day. Now, our goal is to get it down to a nice, beautiful, pale yellow wax like that. And that's what's good for our candle making and our skin creams and lip balms. That nice, beautiful, pale yellow wax. And usually, I have to filter it twice to get it to look that way. But, you know, the great thing about wax, if it doesn't suit you by the second filter, just keep on filtering it until it does suit you. And you can just, you know, melt wax and throw it back in and melt it. Filter it. You know, if you have a candle that doesn't suit you, you just throw the wax in and reuse it. Now, we also will scrape our fur comb off. And, you know, they say you're supposed to recycle all your honey frames at least every 5 years, if not 3 to 5. So, you don't get as nice a wax. This is what your old wax looks like. And so, I decided, well, a pumpkin looks kind of that color. So I made these little pumpkin pencils out of the old wax. So now I'm going to talk about our candle making.
Carpenters can use this on wax too. People work a lot of things. You can get a screw in some things. You can wax that screw up and makes it a lot easier. And it's not soft wood. You don't have to use wax or soft. But it does help when you get some hard wood. And I was talking to a gentleman before in the other conversation. Franklin, what was that outfit? The store,
Woodcraft.
Woodcraft. One of our buddies down in Murfreesboro uses this wax frame right here on a little mold. And he sells, he don't tell me what price they give him for him, one of these little, how many ounces is it? One ounce.
1 ounce bar.
Yeah, depends on the store, but I guess you'll get $3 to $5 just for the bag. How much is it? $4. And otherwise, you're just gonna have a lot of stuff laying around the house, around the barn, or around the shed. And that's fairly easy money if you gotta buy it.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about phase 2 of beeswax processing. That's after we get our wax cappings into that first filter. So now, I do go inside. I go into the basement. And, you know, whatever little sharp y'all have. But again, this is something, don't do it near your sink. You don't want to get this side up and have it all around, and that way when the wax drops on it, it's not such a chore to get up. But I use, and you have to have an enclosed eye to do this. You don't ever work with melted beeswax over an open flame. You don't want to do it on your gas range. You want something like this, a hot plate or a stovetop fan. Closed eye. Because you've got to do a double boil. You've got to have a water bath. So you're going to have this about 1/3 to half full of water on your eye. You need a melting pot. Now, I'm sure a lot of people have old coffee pots that would work. Or you can have like a big old, big 48-ounce can or whatever those great big industrial size cans, like that. You can do that, but that doesn't have a handle on it. So, but you can get these melting pots at like Michael's or Hobby Lobby and use that 40% off coupon when you buy it. And so, you're going to put water in here and you're going to set this down in it. And be careful with your water because you don't want it splashing up and out. So you have to be careful with that. So you've got your hot plate. Always have a fire extinguisher. I have never had to use it, but better safe than sorry. And wax is something that, it's flammable. It will melt at 143 to 151, and the burning point is like 490 or 524. So you have to be careful. And I have a wax thermometer. This didn't cost much, $3 or $4 something. And it shows you, it has in red at about 400. That's when you really need to start watching it, but I never let it get that hot. So, put this on, get your water good and hot, and this is going to start to melt. And in the bottom of it, you're going to see sediment and honey. And then the wax is going to float up. So once this gets good and melted, and it's about 150 degrees or so, then you're ready to filter it again. So I have me a second melting pot. And then, ladies, all those old pantyhose that have been hiding in the back of your drawers, I use these as a filter. And again, I've got my little clamps here. Because I don't want this to cave down in there while I'm pouring this hot wax. So I've got my little clips. Now pour my wax down through there. Slowly, I don't just kind of dump it in there because we don't want it splashing all over the place. But you pour it into a nice clean pot. And then, usually, it's going to be ready to either make a candle or make your lip balm or make your hand cream. But you may not be ready to do that just yet. You may have so much wax that you're processing that you just want to get it, and this is what I will do a lot of. I want to get it into a small, manageable portion. And I like these little 1-ounce polyurethane molds. They're nice. Or I also use yogurt cups. They hold about 4 ounces. And that just any kind of little plastic, margarine cup, yogurt cup. These are about 1 ounce when you have that. So I use those a lot. Or you can get these molds. This is a 1-pound mold. That beeswax. But if you ever make wax for show, don't use one that says beeswax. That's a no-no. You need to look up wax judging rules before you So I will pour it up in these little 1 ounce bars or in my little cups and just have that around until I am ready to do something with it. Now I want to emphasize that when you're processing wax, especially when you get to this stage inside and you've got your hot plate going, do not leave it unattended. Do not go make a sandwich. Do not go start a batch of cookies. This takes your complete attention because we don't want to burn the house down messing with this wax. And, you know, conceivably you could do that if you take your eye off the ball pretty well. So now we've got it into, okay, here it looks like this. Did we send this around? This is the ideal wax right there. It's a really nice premium wax. So, candle mold sources. If you really get into this and want to make some nice, really nice candles, go ahead and buy you some of these polyurethane molds from Man Lake. I'm sure everybody's heard of them. They're a bee vendor. They have a really nice catalog and a large selection of molds. And they have a lot of good information in there. They'll tell you what width you need to have. Now, I want to caution you. See this great big candle right there? First candle I ever made, I got that mold because I was very taken with the thistle and the bee. I did not realize it was going to take 2 pounds of wax to pour that mold. So that's the only one I've ever done. I've never burned it. If we ever have an emergency where we don't without electricity for days, we may burn it then. So you have to make sure you read the instructions that go with your mold and know how much wax you're talking about. And then also what size wick, because the size wick is very important to go with the size mold you've got, because it won't burn right if you don't have the right size wick. But beeswax candles will burn smokeless and grippless and give off the most wonderful, slightly honey aroma. And people ask me, well, can you dye your wax? Well, yes, you can dye your wax, but I am just so in love with the golden color of it, I've never felt the need to dye wax. Did I? And you make these little ornaments, these wax ornaments, with a ceramic cookie mold. And these are the brown bag cookie mold. They've been discontinued, but they are available on eBay at a very reasonable price. So if you're into that kind of thing, look on eBay. Okay. Now, to get the candle to release, sometimes that can be a little bit tricky. We have a mold release spray, and I've had this for years, so it lasts. You only have to do it like every 3 or 4 candles. That helps it release. And then another little trick is, if it's still a little sticky, put your mold into the freezer for about 15 minutes, and the wax will contract, and that'll help it release. Now, candles will get a white frost on them after a certain period of time. And it doesn't hurt the burning of it, but it's called bloom. And you can get rid of that just by giving some hot air with your blow dryer. Or if it's like a smooth candle, you could take some pantyhose and just shine them up real quick. So we've talked about, now when we start making candles, it will call for specific amounts of wax. So it's good to have a digital scale. You pick those up pretty cheap at places like Tuesday morning, probably Walmart's got those too. You need a wax thermometer. Wax pours best at 170 degrees. And you have to pour it really slowly, because if you don't, you'll get air bubbles, and then that messes up the burn. So slower pouring is better. And, you don't have to just get molds. You can use little jars. I went to Steinmart a while back, and they were having a red dot clearance sale. So they had these little jars for like $1. And then with my red dot 50% off, I got them for like 50 cents each. So man, I just bought all of them. And I'm gonna use, well, I've made one so far, but I'm gonna make a little candle. So you can use teacups and nice little shaped jars and that kind of thing. And then another thing I like to do, on the back page, I've got, now, there's all kinds of recipes for skin creams, lip balms, so I just put two of my favorites. And again, you've got to have your, before I leave my candles, let me talk about wicking them. You've got to wick your mold. So this is a wicking needle. And you guys, I bet if you've got some good strong copper, and you girls too, you could probably take a piece of copper, pound it flat, and then drill a hole in it. But this cost me, I think, $5 from the dam for this wicking needle. But you've got to have a wicking needle to thread your wick through the molds. So you put that through there. And this is my little pumpkin mold. And this has seams in it. So once you get it, you have to get it together. You use rubber bands to keep the little seams together. And I've got this pulled through. And then when I get ready to unmold my candle, here's an example. So you pull your candle out, and then you leave enough wick on it, and you cut it off up here, so your mold is already wicked and ready to go, and you don't have to thread it. And this is a little, you'll see racks. There's all kinds of candle making accoutrements in the catalogs. And so there's a rack in there. So, and it costs about $20. But rather than spend that $20, I had my little box, and Donnie drilled me some holes in this piece of board here. We have a cabinet shop in Murfreesboro that puts stuff out, puts scrap lumber out, just for people to come pick it up. So that's where that came from. So he drilled that for me. And so I've got this little rack, it holds you gotta make sure your molds are straight. So I've got it all straight, standing there nice and straight. And that's my little candle rack. And my candles are all, my molds are whipped and ready to go. So, and something else, little tip. I like to use these 12-inch bamboo skewers just to have to stir the wax part, the wax pieces, kind of move stuff around. And this is real cheap. These are real cheap. But for your creams and your balms, again, you're going to have your hot plate. You're going to do the double boiler thing. Got your digital scale to weigh your stuff out, weigh your stuff. Chopsticks to kind of stir things in. And you got to have your little small jars and pots and tubes. Now, all of this is very labor intensive. To me, the most tedious part, though, and the least fun part, is cleaning the little pots and tubes, but you gotta do it, you know, you just got to. So, the day before, I'll wash them with good hot soapy water. You know, this is my little standard tub here for my hand cream. And I wash them in hot soapy water, then I rinse them in a 5% bleach solution. And then I let them dry, and then I make sure they're good and dry before I fill them up. And the same goes for my little lip balm pot. And then these, I thought this was so cute. These are the little lip balm tubes, chapstick tubes. And I thought, man, how are you gonna fill that up? Well, this little purple platform is what that's for. So you get that filled up with your tubes, and then when you do get your lip balm to the liquid state, it's much easier to pour the tubes full with your little, you know, I use something like this to make a batch. And that works much easier than trying to do that. Oh, and something else, when I'm making my skin cream, cocoa butter comes in those big jars, but you can get these nice little coconut butter wafers on Amazon, and these are ever so much easier to measure out than it is to dig out that cocoa butter that's really hard. And then coconut oil, I use that. But I've got my recipe here. It's 4 ounces beeswax, 4 ounces cocoa butter, 6 ounces coconut oil, 5 ounces sweet almond oil, and then I like a little bit of mango fragrance, but you use your favorite essential oil or no fragrance at all. And, you know, you melt all that, and you need to melt the beeswax, cocoa butter, and coconut oil in that specified order, because your beeswax is harder, and it's going to take longer to melt. And then your cocoa butter is your second hardest wax, and then everything else melts pretty quick. So you've got to have all of your little pots, or whatever you're pouring, ready, so that when you get this all stirred up, you get it melted, and it's ready to pour, you can't start running and washing your pots, you know, when you're ready to pour. You just have to, you know, go pour into your, you know, 12 little containers. And then I cover those up with a paper towel, and when it's nice and hard and cooled off, I put the top on them, and there you go. And they make nice little gifts. You know, people love this stuff. And I've got my lip balm recipe over there. But it's a lot of fun to mess with. I've sold a few candles. I won't say I'm going to get rich off my candle making. And I'm a dabbler. You know, I do it when I want to. You know, if I don't want to, I don't. But I have a lot of fun with it. And, you know, people like it, the candles and the ornaments. So, and, specialtybottle.com is a good source for small jars for your creams and balms. And then Laura Ann oils. If you take Bee Culture or American Bee Journal, you'll see ads for Laura Ann oil in there. They have really nice culinary oils and extracts and creams for spa items and that kind of thing. So, any questions? Okay. So, now you can go and you're ready to do something with your wax.
How long have you been doing this?
Well, off and on, 5 or 6 years, probably.
5 or 6 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me advise you men or something. You thinking about that, God, my wife gonna do this. It's a good deal for y'all to get her started. You can take a nap and watch a football game, do a lot of things, and she's out of your hair. Take it from somebody else.
Hello, hello. Again, I'd like to thank our speakers for coming tonight. We appreciate you coming all the way up here from Brooksville. Can I sell you some old wax and get something back like that? I don't know if I got that much time, but that's a good idea. Does anybody else have any more business that we need to talk about tonight? Remember our youth class next week out there. If anybody's got any questions, bring food, give us our food. Let us know what you're bringing tonight.